Cool. Grape tomatoes. Grape tomatoes. Is that what they're called?
That's what I've called them. I can't remember the name of them. Russian tomatoes.
Are they? I don't think I've ever seen them.
They haven't been doing any Russian. They're just staying still at the moment.
Okay, that's good.
Boy,
That's good.
bad start.
Yeah.
Well,
Fucking good trip anyway, Dunk.
you know,
Good little trip up the country, mate. I really enjoyed that. I felt really kind of fresh, tired but fresh when I got home, eh? So
I felt tired but fragged. I'd overdone it. And I knew coming home, oh no, I'm going down. Overdoing it. I love being up there. When Mike said on his plateau above Raglan, they say there's 4 volcanoes surrounding that, kind of like guardians he talked about. That was really cool. And you could see 2 of them quite clearly. I wasn't sure what the other ones were, but
it was pretty neat up there, eh?
quite like being surrounded. He's possibly living on a volcano as well. He's up on a big steep hill. Could be that remnant of.
Yeah, well, there's bits of bloody rocks everywhere from a volcano, isn't there?
Yeah.
Obviously been a few of them around.
And that really, that iron, that beautiful sienna, it's that colour and art called burnt sienna, and that's exactly that rich red burnt sienna.
A bit like the Aussie
soil.
red, eh?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and the Cook Islands had it as well. That
Yeah.
volcanic soil, exactly the same. I remember staring at it like, wow, it's nearly red. Quite different than down here, just fucking silt and
Black.
peat and
Peat.
clay.
Peat
Silt.
where we are, eh? Peat where you are.
Well, this is the river here, right here. So,
It was the river.
yep.
Really?
Yeah, this was the river here. And then they put a stop bank up so it couldn't come here anymore.
So did it all just spread out here?
Yep. And I've got a theory that the name of the river Awaho, Awa River, and Ho is new river. So it was. I wonder if that was how it got its name. That every year it was in a different place. It's so flat here that it just spread and went wherever it wanted to. So I thought, oh well, that's probably what I'd call it too, Awaho. I don't know if it's true.
No.
Apologies if I've,
If you've blasphemed.
if I've blasphemed or overstepped my knowledge parameters.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's funny when I rang you up the other day and you said, I want to come up and maybe talk about the flow state. You said, mate, I was just thinking about you like 5 minutes ago. I was thinking about ringing you, and I thought,
Oh, that is a flow state.
I thought, there it is. There it is.
I never thought that.
There it is. That's why I'm ringing you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting that, eh? And everyone. I was talking to Rose about it before, and she's just got a new lady working for her today. Who's just kind of was her first day, and I think she's done quite a lot of forestry before. She looked like she knew what she was doing. But I said to Rose I was coming here to have a yak to you about that, and I said, yeah, because like when you're putting like some flowers together, and same thing. She goes, yeah. So it's not a woo-woo thing, eh? It's not.
Yeah, well,
it's not mystical. Everyone feels that, eh?
I think
One way or t'other.
It's a natural human state. It doesn't belong in the domain of gurus and meditators and
No.
Buddhas.
No.
It's everyone's. It's our birthright to be in. We'd have to define what we mean, because there's a couple of things I think of, like when you said flow state, I was like, well, that can mean quite a few different experiences for me. And one of them is that kind of, you think, is that a coincidence or not?
Yeah.
I was just thinking of whenever I used to think of Pariri, I'd give him a ring for no reason. He'd say, you won't believe it, Dunk.
Right.
I'm 200 metres down the road.
Right.
And in the end, we never even mentioned it.
Right, because it was
We just
it
knew.
was a given.
Yeah. He knew it was a text from me, and he
Yep.
knew he was just over there.
Yep.
And we just went, yeah, that's how it goes. And I didn't even know why I was getting in touch with him. And people have, most people have had that experience.
Right. So
that's one aspect of it. I'm not
yeah,
sure if that...
right. Like that's kind of like relating to another person.
Yeah, well, that could be
Situation,
like
eh?
across time, across boundaries that
Right.
we assume are there, but might not be there. Why don't we assume that? Why don't we assume that we do have the connection which is beyond?
Right.
Just because you can't hear me, like
Yeah. Yeah.
that he can't get me,
Yeah.
or you can't,
Yeah. Well, it's
And-
obviously in some cultures that's not.
No,
They
no.
don't assume those things.
It'd be very nice if we could just assume that they're not
Yeah.
there, and we just can.
Yeah. Well, it won't. For a start, it's not going to happen if you don't think it's going to happen. If you think it's not going to happen, it probably won't.
Yeah.
But then there's the other thing for me of like when you're doing something like you know, like when I'm here building with you, that I often feel like I'm in that zone. Like we're both in that zone, but it's quite personal for me as well. I'm, just things just falling into place. You know, and
you put a hand out and there's a thing coming into it.
Sort of
that
deal.
level.
Yeah.
And you just where the next step is, and it's kind of one of the things is beyond thought for me. Like I'm not thinking anymore, and some of my best moments are not thinking. Some of my best moments are thinking. I really love thinking about cool shit, but that's when you're just intuitively moving towards something, and it's all. And even you've probably had this. When the thing comes, you go, oh, yep, I knew that was, yep. And it's almost like deja vu. It's happening in front of you, and it's...
Yeah, it's like it's almost like a delivery rather than a...
Yeah, well, that's a good way to...
I feel like that. I feel like that when I'm songwriting. It's a delivery, and I don't even know how that works because it's coming out of my brain, obviously.
Yeah. You feel more on the receiving end, eh?
Yeah.
That something that... And I've heard people say, I take no credit for it.
Right.
I was in this place. And,
so that happens for you with your artwork too?
Artwork, yeah, but a lot of other places. A lot of other places. I can get it being still, and I can get it working, doing or not doing. I can. I find that I think I'm doing a lot of thinking, and I need to be not thinking for that to happen. If I'm thinking, I haven't had that experience deep in thought.
Yep. Yeah. Like stressed or worried or having
Just
a mission on.
Thinking about tomorrow, or yesterday,
pressure
in some
or
way.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be. It's just thinking.
Yeah.
It could be planning.
Yeah.
But if I'm planning,
Right.
And
right, you've got to be doing for it to be active. Yeah.
Or my mind has to be still in some way, and for it to come on board. And I imagine that I've heard sports people talk about that flow state. I imagine they're not really thinking playing tennis or golf or rugby, but they talk about getting in that place where they do good times as a result, because they just let it go. Like Hamish, what was his name? That was his last Olympics, and he was really getting stressed, thinking about how he's going to run it. And someone said to, what was his name, Hamish?
The triathlete guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They got
forget his
a
name.
bronze medal. And he said on the morning, or it might have been the day before, he met someone, and he said, oh, he was really uptight. And they said, why don't you just go out and have some fun? He's like, shit. So he just left all that behind and thought, I don't really care if I win or lose. I love running. I'm just going to enjoy the run. And he turned into results.
Right. Mm.
So
it must be hard under pressure like that, eh? Like, I was watching that All Blacks game, that last All Blacks game where the South Africans give us
in the unflow.
The unflow. And you could tell that, I mean, they're not, I think even the commentators were saying they're not gelling, they're not actually getting into their game, and they're actually saying, that's what they're saying, eh?
Mm.
Because, man,
that's a good one, eh? Are you into your game?
Yeah.
And where it's,
because you could see those guys weren't. They were unable to, whether it was the South Africans or the All Blacks that were creating the situation where they couldn't do it. I mean, that's neither here nor there. I mean, good on the South Africans if it was them doing it, but yeah, it's weird, eh? But on the other hand, when it's on, it's just awesome to watch. Eh?
So are we permanently in this culture day and age? Are we in unflow all the time? Just came in my head then, like if you've got flow, does unflow become our default? And we're all just like, we're not fitting. We've shut off all those.
Well, you can't measure
abilities.
This. Yeah. There's an issue with that because we need to be able to measure, don't we, in the world that we live in?
Yeah.
We need, if you can't measure it and dissect it, and
even more monetize it.
Yeah.
How do you monetize the flow? Well, you probably can.
Well,
look at Djokovic; he's monetized.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Yeah.
But I think it's a natural state. That I'm imagining, and I don't know, that we may have been in more often and more connected cultures.
Possibly,
connected to the ground and each other. I don't know.
I'd like to think that, but
I would like to think that, but I actually don't know.
Myself a little
I wonder
bit
if I'm.
that, you know?
Yeah, I wonder if I'm Disneylanding the whole Disneylanding history.
Lord of the Rings.
They all walked around and it was wonderful, and
I
don't know if it really was. But I mean, even if you lived to 35, you were surrounded by dangers, you still might be able to access that. But I don't know, so I don't try and dwell on that. So whether I'm right or wrong about that.
No, but if the hunter-gatherer kind of scene that sort of we're talking about a little bit, I suppose, what they reckon 18 hours, 18 hours a week roughly? Something like that,
work
they
time.
reckon of work time. So you had a lot more time to contemplate and, it seems like not much though, 18 hours, to be warm and fed for a week.
Yeah, it does. Because I'd imagine housing would have taken up a lot more than tending gardens.
Yes.
But
so
I don't know.
I'm not sure I believe that. But if they did have more time, like I know when we went off on that trip up, and visited Mike up in Raglan, that was really useful for me to come home. On the way home, I was thinking about this, what we're doing now, sitting down having a yak and filming it. Well, I couldn't have thought about that unless I'd kind of had all that yakking all the way up and no job, no work, no nothing, just a drive. And, by the time I got home, I was starting to nail down without even, it was popping into my mind. Well, I might just do that and I know what I'll do. So that was coming on because I had some downtime, basically, forced in the car. It was bloody tough having to sit with you for bloody 6 hours, but I managed it.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was so fucked, but we talked both on the way there, just how far? 7 hours?
Yeah.
All the way there, more or less, and all the way back.
That's what I said to Maureen, never even had the radio on.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. No, but what you say is like you're sort of preparing the ground in some ways for, preparing the ground for something, right?
Yeah.
Because you could talk it through. And then
like digging the garden, yeah.
And then the...
yeah, true.
Who's that guy that Gavin's into... where you don't use your conscious mind, you go to bed, wake up. De Silva.
Oh, yeah.
De Silva.
Yeah.
And he's really into that, your cognitive mind kind of stops short, but what happens in between or when you're asleep is finding solutions for you, and your cognitive mind can get in the way of that.
Yeah.
That's probably an aspect of flow state, meditation, all that sort of thing.
Could well be.
And like say setting up something.
Yeah. It's and I think the more I try and sometimes the more I try to figure something out, the less chance I've got. I'm better off to be distracted and for it to come in the back door sort of.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
And I've consciously used it myself, and I know I'm there, and I go, nah, just consign it, leave it, and then somewhere out of the blue it pops, solutions or comes back in.
Like I said to you before when I got here, the idea of calling this thing that we're doing now the chewing the fat. It just revealed itself to me as I was driving home from Dez's, the bike shop yesterday. I thought, yeah, when I'm at Dez's, you know, there's a lot of chewing the fat. And I thought, chewing the fat.
Yeah. Perfect. It's Kiwi.
And interesting though, because that's when it came, when I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I thought, and
so yeah,
bang, there it was.
Once again, you know, getting your head out of the way, and all the sages say, no matter what religious tradition, mystical tradition, tame that mind, because the mind's a barrier to that place where you feel really good.
Yeah.
You do feel joy and bliss and in the flow, if you like. It's a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
And people chase it, I think, with all kinds of means. There's
Sure.
And I've come to see there's a lot of portals into that. It's not just one direction. Meditation is the only way, or this is the only way, or cold water is the only way. You know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many portals to getting that.
Sure.
The same thing, getting the mind to be still.
It seems like an accident to me, though.
Oh, okay.
It's accidental. I don't seem to. It's like,
I'll have both, and I can like right now I can go into it as we're talking here, and I'll go into my body and I'll stop thinking. So for me, going into the body stops the head, and then into the feeling world. So then I'm really present and I can at will nearly do that. Under pressure it's a bit harder, but I don't know if it's flow state. Certainly my mind is still. Yeah.
So maybe it is. That the weird thing is it's almost like stop thinking to get the thought. It's almost like you've got to stop thinking to get the thought.
You
know?
You watch Eckhart. Odd,
eh?
Have you watched Eckhart Tolle speaking?
No.
He'll just sit there like he comes and sits down. There's like 5,000 people there waiting for the man to talk, and he just sits down. He's going. He's just sitting there. He's just waiting for something to come up.
Right.
And you can tell. I'm watching the video. I'm like, come on.
Awkward silence.
People have paid fucking $50. Sorry, $150.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he's waiting. And when it arises, he begins. And then when it stops, he stops. Krishnamurti did the same thing. They just stop. And you think, shit, you know, your mind goes like, oh, I should be filling it up. Oh, people have paid money. Or he's just able to go, yeah, I'll let those thoughts come and go. And then he talks about it arising, like you just did.
Wow.
Thoughts will arise, solutions will arise. I like using my mind, and I really like. I'm usually conscious that I'm using it though. Like some of the stuff with Mike was really pretty sort of heady, and I like that.
Yeah,
I like the origin of the universe, or
me too.
I like thinking about how energy might travel across things, but I'm conscious that I'm thinking about it. Might not have anything to do with reality, but it's an enjoyable process to do.
Yeah. So you were talking about Eckhart Tolle right, when he's doing a speech, and I think what would be really difficult for me, and even having this conversation is quite difficult, because you're kind of intentionally setting out to do that, and he's intentionally setting out to do it, and he's got people that have paid money. That would be really hard for me, knowing that people were thinking they needed some tangible kind of exchange for the
but you know what?
Money.
You know what? You sit there and you go, wow, there's a guy like a horse or a dog or a cat sitting. When you witness somebody fucking, you can see he's not going, shit, what am I going to say? Shit. You can tell he's just emptying.
Right.
He's probably got them coming and going, but and people at the end of that probably go, fuck yeah, I'm glad I paid $150 to see a human in its natural state.
Right.
Rather than my thoughts like yours, like,
oh shit, how am I doing what they want? If
I've only
going to be happy?
for 30 seconds, what are they going to think?
Yeah.
Is it going to affect my followers?
Yeah.
It's like, he knows what it is that he's doing and got. He knows the value of that, to be sitting empty.
Right. And he's demonstrating quite likely what those people want anyway.
He's demonstrating what the people are probably looking for.
because they're not going to go
modelling.
there. They're not going to go there to learn how to work the stock market.
Yeah, well,
They're going there because they know.
I never thought about that. Because his words are good as well. He said he's a heady guy. He knows everything about world religion. He can speak about it for ages. But he said the thing that he got stuck on is that he identified with knowledge. So thinking was a big thing for him. And he's kind of learnt to, and he'll bring that in. He'll say, you know, when the Buddha was over here, or when Jesus was here, or when Abraham, so he's got the whole.
Right, he's got all that background.
He knows it all, but then he doesn't. It's not often, but sometimes he'll chuck it in a story. But yeah, and
I really admire those people that can do that like that. And coming back to the rugby, you know, I admire those guys. Like they've got the All Black jersey on, just using the All Blacks as an example. This huge press, they've got every second bloody Kiwi male in the country's watching, and they know it. And all of those pressures, and when they gel under that pressure, and it's amazing to watch. It's you know, I really appreciate what they do. It's sports people in general when they can do that.
Yeah, and it's sport where we see it a lot.
True.
We see that thing that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And you even see it in single sports, not even just gelling with the. You can tell, and they'll say after the thing, you know, I think of tennis always comes in my head. I'm not sure why, but high jump, pole vault, like they on that day they're in that place and they know it's coming, and it's they've hit that high mark again because they're in the place where. And they work pretty hard on that game, some of them, on getting their head out of the way and into things like enjoyment and you know, being in the moment is nothing more satisfying. I've tried to cultivate it for a long time because I spent so much time thinking, worrying and whatever, or, you know, resenting the past or regretting it or whatever, that I've tried to cultivate being able to be in the present because it feels a really good place. So and that's what I thought meditation was like, practicing that plus getting quiet for a while. I like that, but it's not necessarily associated with quietness.
No,
and you can have it in a busy time. You can be busy and this kind of new mindful kind of stuff, about being in the. I think the word mindful is abused, but they use it frickin' everywhere, just as a kind of buzzword. You know, be mindful. What do you mean? It's just you just say mindful. Everyone goes, "Wow, that's cool." Mindful.
I think one of the first times I really kind of recognised that what was going on for me was I was flying. My sister got me into flying kites. No, those 2-line.
Oh yeah.
Kites. And so if you went 100% with the kite, you're going to crash it. Especially the ones that were really acrobatic. You had to really work to keep them in the air. So you had to actually, and I was tripping over things. I wasn't looking where I was going. I'd be on the beach and I'd be tripping over a piece of wood, and I'd come up after half an hour. I'd be really relaxed.
Yeah,
It's kind of weird, and I really recognised that. Oh, shit.
Well, I think I told you about that guy. I can remember his name now, Triff. I don't know if it was short for something. He was a Russian Kiwi guy. And he told the story of planning to go mountain climbing, because he said mountain climbing he got in the moment. It was just him, the next hold, that was all. And he just felt like, whoa. And he spent 2 years planning his trips to go to the Patagonia or whatever, Everest, Tibet. And he ran there, and it was huge money and working to pay and planning, and he said he'd get up there, he'd get in that place. He's like, yeah. Then one day, the last time he went, he was in the moment, and he said, shit, I could just do this anywhere.
Huh.
I could practice. I'm spending all my resources and everything and
Right,
years
to
and
get
years
to these places.
where it's not about the mountain, it's about,
it's about the
next
headspace.
handhold.
Right.
And he worked out he could do that at home.
At home.
He could even do it in his house.
Right. Cool.
And it was a moment for him when he stopped.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That
He
was
stopped
it?
doing that. Yeah. Because it was really a huge amount for this.
Right.
moment
to
when you
get
could
that moment. And
you don't,
realise,
you don't have to join. You don't have to go to Tibet and be meditating to the moment. The moment's here and now in daily life. It's there. It's ready for you if you're cooking your lunch. And I sometimes will move out of the thinking place into I'm cooking my lunch. I'll say to myself, I'm cooking my lunch.
Right.
And then I feel really good, blissful.
That's probably really good for you when you're cooking your food.
Well, being in
To
the
be
moment
thinking
is
about
really
the
good for
food
me
that
because
you're
I'm
cooking.
so not in the fucking moment. So for me, just to be doing what I'm doing, that's what meditation is.
Right.
Because often I'm not doing what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm doing this, but I'm thinking about,
but you're
shit, if I get
multitasking.
that garden done over there, I'll just finish this one, and then I could get to that one.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like never in the now. And the now is where the buzz is. The now is where joy, bliss.
Yeah, well, you're most connected, eh?
You're connected. Connection. That's it. Connected to yourself and my body. So I've learnt to do that as well. Like be in my body instead of in my mind. I didn't even know I lived in my mind, but I did. Then I can feel, like I said to you before, I just go down like I'm doing now. I've shifted my attention into my body. I've stopped thinking for a minute. I'm just in my, I can feel my feet.
When you're talking about
I can just feel my legs now. And I can't think then, you see.
Right.
I'm just feeling.
Right, it breaks off the thought pattern because you're focusing on that.
Yeah, it's just shifting attention.
It's like kind of listening to your heartbeat.
Yeah. Or your breath. But breath is breath or whatever. Yeah. So that's the place I try to, and then I can do that anywhere. It doesn't have to be outside of work or art or cooking.
I wish, like sometimes for me when I'm working, I think, and it's happened here when we were just recently working here, be like, right, I need to stop. Sometimes I need to go home or whatever, but I wish I could just go, I'm just going to sit down quietly for a minute and gather myself back in, but I seem to, I'm still not acknowledging that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Because it's not part of our culture, eh?
No. Like Simon says, awareness, and he's always going on, Simon's a friend of ours, and he always talks about awareness. I think it's true, like if being aware of that, then you can do something. If you're not aware, you can't.
No.
It's boils down to that for me. If you're aware that you're doing that and that it's sort of robbing you in some way or something that you're trying to get to an easier place or of calm or something.
I usually have to fuck something up. If I'm working, I go, righto, I've either got to walk away or got to stop. And sometimes, like when I was working at the school, there were so many weird problems used to come because, all kinds of things would break down. And often, and all credit to the people I used to work for, they let me do this, but I'd jump in the car, I'd go, right, I need a coffee. And I'd drive into town, and I'd be halfway into town, and I'd go, I know what it is. I know what it is.
There you go.
And I'd go and have my coffee, and then come back, and
you do it.
Boom, yeah. But while I was standing there, looking at it, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I just, for the life of me, couldn't figure out how the hell I was going to do that. And all I had to do was move away. And I often find,
there you go. Yeah.
And I often find when I'm driving, if we go to Wellington or something, and like that trip away that we did, we were yakking about this kind of stuff a bit. But I get in the car, maybe go to Wellington with Maureen, and I'm away developing. Not far after we get out of town, I'm heading to Wellington, and we're yakking about what we're going to do when we get home. We're going to do what we could do. Well, shit, we very rarely have those conversations when we're at home. Not that we don't do our shit, but as soon as I leave, it's like I can look back from memory or whatever it is and formulate a plan. Oh, I know what we should, It's weird. It'd be quite nice if we could just sit down there and do it at home. Maybe I will before I die. All right.
Yeah.
Enough of that rubbish, Dunk.
So, are we done?
We're done, mate. Oh.
Cool, Dean.